everybody, it's your pal Ron Howard from xTreme Sequences, bringing you Monday Minutes. It's that time of the year to get on that cheer, and today it's all about colors and shaders. A buddy of mine, or I should say a mate of mine from the UK, was asking some questions about controlling shaders. And that's sort of a loaded question because there's a lot of things you could do with shaders, and then there's a lot of things you can't do with shaders. And I prefer the first one. Things that you can do with shaders. And so we'll explore some of the inherent challenges of working with shaders and some of the cool things that you can do to get around those challenges and take over and be in charge of shaders. You're in charge, not shaders. Just get that through your skull. All right, let's get started. I have some shaders effects here, and I love these things. I absolutely love these things. Before I start this training, I think I should do the gratuitous plug for becoming a subscriber to the channel and smashing that thumbs up. Appreciate everybody that's been doing this. It does help the channel, and I love you for it. Let's get started. This shader right here is one of my favorites. I've used it in a lot of sequences, and it's beautiful. It's Black Cherry Cosmos, and there are a lot of things you can do with this to create movement. Using value curves with the XY coordinates, the zoom, and all that kind of stuff. So we're not going to talk so much about value curves and movement today for this. We really want to talk about manipulating the color for shaders. And you can do this by changing the layer blending either for the shader itself or for an effect above it. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This beautiful Black Cherry Cosmos. Can I change a color on it out of the gate natively? There's white, there's red, there's blue, there's yellow. You see there's no change. You cannot change that. Okay, you're thinking, well, Ron, how about that hue thing? Change that hue value. No. Well, yeah, you can there, but I don't suggest doing that. So let's say that you want to control this with a very specific set of colors, like these colors here. You want to go through this repetition of colors that I've chosen here in color curves, okay? But you want that to apply to your shaders. Okay, fair enough. Put that on top of the shader and make sure you choose to is unmask. Now, I recommend you go through all of these different choices to see what they do. Go to max, go to minimum, find the one that looks really super cool like this. This is kind of cool, and based on the color, it will do some really unique things. So 2 is unmask makes this change the colors through the duration of the 5 seconds that this effect is. Fantastic, okay? Let's look at the next one. This is circle tunnels. This is kind of cool. A little bit of a mesmerizer there. You don't stare at that too long. You might get sick. Okay, so that's cool, right? But I want to take that motion and color and apply it to a couple of pinwheels that are opposing. In other words, I simply have value curves on this pinwheel doing this. I copied and pasted that below and changed the transformation to flip horizontal. And bada boom, bada bang, there you go. A very cool effect, which I call an opposing effect. But I want to use this texture and color. So I put that on top, and there you go. I don't know why that just reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. You know, the witch with the socks? Yeah. Don't know. All right. And here, again, I'm using 2 as unmask. The effects below it are inheriting this. And if you're thinking, well, Ron, what exactly is unmasked? Well, I'm glad you asked, because if you click this little button over here, it'll bring up this nice chart telling you what all this stuff means. So have fun reading that. Let's get to the next one. We have, oh, this is a favorite, Cosplay. This is so cool looking, and there's so many things to do with this, certainly when you play with value curves. But we're not playing with value curves today, are we? A little bit we are. So let's first do the same thing with colors. We'll bring the colors down and get those changing, just like we did on Black Cherry Cosmos. And that looks pretty cool. And again, that's using 2 as unmask. but I want to add another element to this to kind of get it to do sort of a shock wave, but be able to see the colors and have it resolve. So I created a shock wave, and it is using maximum effort. And there we go. I think that looks super cool and super easy to do. So you just adjust your levels here. One of the things you can do when you're working with multiple layers is to isolate something. Maybe change this to effect 1 so that you get this to do exactly what you want. Maybe you want the radius to come in like this, and then you can change it back to max, and let's see what we get. I don't like it as much, but you can see the change that's taking place. So I'm going to change that radius back the way I had it. Now we can see all those dots doing the swirl thing, and that looks cool. Let's go to the next one. This happens to be a great ball of fire. It looks like the name says it is. So there you go. I used this in We Will Rock You and had it coming down the tree or in the center of the matrix with Freddie Mercury's lips in the center of it singing. I thought that was pretty fun and pretty cool. This is a nice effect, but again, if you know me, it's not extreme enough. I like to mix in combinations of things so it's not just a blatant use of the effect and calling it a day. So what I wanted to do was take a pinwheel with the same color scheme that we've had before and apply it, but I wanted to use it a little bit differently than we have in the other ones. Instead of using 2 is unmask, which you would see here, that sort of looks like a beach ball. Jeff, there's your beach ball. There we go. That's inside joke, Australian. You wouldn't get it. So 1 is unmask is pretty cool. And look at these cool textures. The swirling. I just think that's really cool. Now add in some value curve, create some motion, and yeah, I got something that's truly a showstopper. That's what we're talking about. All right, let's go to this last one. This is the infamous zoom loop. I use this quite a bit here, there, and everywhere for different things, but again, I like to do something different with it. So in this case, I wanted to, this is using minimum. Now, if I set this to normal, it looks the same because there's nothing underneath it right now, but I'll put this on minimum, and then I took the meteors and created an explosion. Now, they look kind of weird because that's on the singing bulb. Let me X that out and show you what that looks like here. That basically looks like that with the color scheme. I'll X that out, and this time I'm going to put it underneath, and this is what it looks like using the power of layer blending. And I think that's pretty cool. It's got a nice resolve. You can even soften it up more by adding a little bit of blur. Maybe you can go crazy with blur. On something like this, if you have a P5, a P10 panel matrix, probably look good. There's so much blur there. I wouldn't recommend going that high on the blur. If you're running a pixel matrix, I would probably leave it with no blur. Just leave that setting 1, and the details will look much, much better. It would probably get lost the other way. Anyway, I love shaders. I love the impact they make with my style of sequencing, but I don't love them when they're just on their own all the time. There has to be something. You have to challenge yourself as a sequencer to make that shader a little more unique than just out of the gate, throw it on there and call it a day. Yeah, to me, that's sort of cheating a little bit. It's okay now, every now and then, but I like to challenge myself. I hope you do too. All right. That's all I've got for you. I'm Ron. It's been Monday Minutes. Catch you next time.